This
Sure.
conference will now be recorded.
So we'll call the meeting to order. And I pass it on to you, Eric, for your business items that you'd like to review.
Okay. Well, thank you, Julia. We're going to first I think everybody got a copy of the minutes that Gage sent out. So everybody have a chance to review the minutes. Any edits or changes? I didn't see any. If not, we ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
I so move.
And we get a second.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. So the minutes are approved. I go to business item number 2, which is Lago Bucks. We have our great mayor of the city, Mayor Ed Tidwell, on the line, and I would ask Mr. Tidwell to give us an update on Lago Bucks. I tell you, my mailbox and email have been blowing up with it, so I know Mayor can give a good update on it if you don't mind.
Yes, it is. It is starting to get a good foothold finally. It's taken us, I guess, 2 weeks to finally get it out there for everybody to see. Despite all the efforts we've done on Facebook and on our website and talking about it in the council meetings and everywhere, it was kind of slow to get started, but it's finally starting to take hold. Word of mouth is getting around. Everybody that came in today basically said, well, we didn't know this existed, but they heard about it from somebody. Mm-hmm. So it's finally taken off and getting out there. I think currently we have issued certificates to 50 households. That would be, 200 certificates, $50. So we're right at what, $10,000 that we have handed out to be granted to businesses in our area. Our list is up to 10 participating businesses.
Great.
Obviously we would like to see that get to 25 or 30 businesses. I'm hoping that they see what's going on and will sign up. I'm not sure exactly what their hesitation is, but I would like to see it get to 25, 30 businesses, and I don't know, what, 1,500 households, as opposed to 50. So we'll just keep pushing it. We've got the coupons are good to the end of December. I would like to get them all handed out as soon as possible. If I could get them all out in October, that would be great. We're going to have another on-site distribution this coming weekend, Friday and Saturday. So hopefully we can promote that and get quite a few more out. But I think it's starting to take off. Since the applications get turned in by email, yes, it does blow up that LERP at lago-vista.org email address, but we'll deal with it. This is for our businesses, so we need to get it out there. And any way y'all can help spread the word and get it out there, please do so. And that's really all I have. So
I posted it on the community bulletin board on Facebook, and along with the reference to the website. And one of the replies that came back pretty quickly was, you have to be needy to do that. And I had to reply, no, you don't. I said, you take a household with a mother and a father and 2 kids, and they have an upper limit of $117,000 to be able to get it. And I said, I don't think that's that needy. So, that shut them up really quick.
yeah, that is correct. The federal government has put some guidelines, there could on the application that has to do with the COVID related crisis. But with it being a self-certification type application, it's hard to tell whether somebody actually, you know, it's on their honesty, whether they have suffered from COVID or not. But it's really hard to say who hasn't suffered in some way, you know. So, but the financial, economic, the income level, yeah, it's pretty high, 120% of our county median average. So
Average, yeah.
I
Mayor,
did have- I
what
did
is
have
the
something else. I just
Sorry.
remembered something. The turnout at Brock's has been so well that he got overwhelmed the other night with people trying to come in and order on a Tuesday night. And it was just him, his wife, and his 2 kids trying to run the restaurant, and his kitchen got overwhelmed. So yeah, that's great for him, but it's also should be, you know, a sign for other businesses that, hey, sign up for this so people can come spend their money there. So
Mayor, I was going to ask, what is the hesitancy or what is the pushback that you're getting from other businesses as to why they wouldn't want to participate?
you know, I'll have to let Eric answer that one because he has had more firsthand conversation with the people who have been hesitant. The ones I've talked to have all come in and signed up, but we haven't talked to the same ones. So
Some of it, Julie, is the corporate businesses, as you know. Even for instance, I just use Starbucks. I don't think he would mind, but they want to keep the money locally. They did not want to go through corporate and say, hey, sometime when you get stuff like that approved, and even with the funding of that and the accounting on that component of it, they just didn't want to, you know, get involved. They're a big corporation. They just didn't want to be a part of it. So that's pretty much the answer
Got
to
it.
that. Corporate, some of the corporate businesses didn't want to get involved.
yeah, and I
Understandable.
don't,
Hey, Eric,
you know, some of our places like Latte Vista or our food trucks or DD's or Sun Hardware, the new Wild Navy, you know, we're still pushing them. You know, I don't know if maybe because some of the places like DD's or Latte Vista, maybe people, because they're coming in for like breakfast type stuff and coffees and stuff, and they're not going to be spending large amounts of money. Maybe they don't want to be giving out coupon, you know, store coupon after store coupon. I'm not real sure. I know at one point we had discussed making smaller gift certificates, but we weren't real sure. We didn't want to set it too low and we didn't want to set it too high. We felt like 50 was a good median range there. So I don't know. I plan to talk to these businesses more and see if I can encourage them. So I have some vacation coming up, and I'll be using that to hit the streets. So.
And we know a lot of them, some of them have struggled, but I hate to say it's a testimony that, you know, through the pandemic, most of the businesses in Largo have done well. For instance, like you just mentioned, Domino's, the Wild Navy, Starbucks. So sometimes that advantage is kind of causing some of them to, you know, back away as well. Not say back away, but be hesitant because they're doing so well. I think if they were struggling, you would see more coming in. So it's a win situation, and kind of they're just not participating at this point in time. But maybe once the mayor goes out, I went out, we've talked to a lot of this stuff on 2 occasions, myself and even Josh. And so they say, we're going to get in, we're going to see. But, you know, at some point you can't force them to get in, but we just keep trying to put the word out there to get more businesses signed up.
Thanks for answering.
Julie, one thing that we looked at early on was the turnaround time with the businesses. So once the business receives the Lago Bucks, their process for getting reimbursement is, I think we set up a pretty simple process, whereas if they bring them in on one of the days of the week that we're open, Monday through Thursday, they fill out a 1-page document. We list out all the Lago Bucks that they're trying to cash in. And then if they get it by 12 o'clock, we write the check by 5 o'clock that same day. So, for example, if anyone would have brought in Lago Bucks this morning before 12, we would be writing them a check, and here within 45 minutes today, they'd be able to come through and pick up their reimbursement check. So hopefully we're making that process so that a business doesn't have to be out of, out of operating revenues, and so that they can get a reimbursement relatively quickly and be confident that being in the program creates them a value add.
Seems like a no-brainer, but I don't know.
Right.
We'll keep pushing
Sounds
it
like
out.
sounds like the system is moving fast if they use it.
Yes. Paul, Mr. Roberts?
Hey, Eric, thank you for recognizing me. People are going to take the path of least resistance. Mr. Mayor, you said a moment ago that you've got some time off coming up and you're going to go out there and cold call on some businesses. Did I understand you correctly? If that's the case, may I suggest you take applications already printed out to give them and try to get them to fill it out on the spot?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely have that with me.
Also, take extra applications, especially go over and visit with Tom at Sun Hardware. You know, Tom sees a lot of these small businesses, these landscaping companies, some of these smaller contractors, and I'm sure they could use the business. People could fix, maybe get some things done around here. Maybe even talk to someone like Chetton's Chipping, some of these guys. I mean, they're not hurting for business, but my God, wouldn't it be something else if people, I don't know, well, $50 isn't going to get you many trees cut down, I guess, but some of these guys, just a thought.
No, but it might bring them some business. I mean, we've had a home repair business sign up as one of the participating businesses. You know, I can't imagine $50 will go much, or $200 even towards a deck or something like that, but it might help, you know.
I agree, but you know, it could be for some of these individuals, even where it's higher ticket items, kind of like Groupon was, where it's a way for them to introduce their business to people at a discount, and they can work up some kind of a first time service at X amount of dollars thing. But the other problem you're having though is that we're not getting enough citizens to sign up for this. Mind you, the 120% of the median of these poverty levels is inhibiting some of that. But again, people are going to take the path of least resistance. The people who need this the most are the most downtrodden in society. Perhaps talking to Shirley Rogers over at St. Mary's and asking her to put you in touch with St. Vincent de Paul folks. They might know a lot of people here in town who could definitely use that money. The lady across the street from City Halls that for battered women, she might know some people. Give her a dozen, 20 applications.
Yes, we've definitely talked to her. That's Rebecca Fountain. We've talked to her. She actually even applied as a participating business, but she did not qualify as the type of nonprofit that she was. I had to direct her to Travis County.
I see.
Serves, but yeah, we've been in touch with Rebecca. That does remind me about the churches, though. I have to reach out to my ministerial alliance again.
Mayor, if I can just add that I did send out a email to everyone on the President's Council, so all the churches should have received that.
Okay.
With the link to everything and graphics in case they wanted to put it into their newsletter.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Any more questions on the Lago Bucks? Well, we definitely want to thank Mayor Tidwell for taking that initiative and getting that to our great community. That's a great tool to have, and we appreciate Mayor Tidwell doing all this work on that, hard work on that to get that happen for our citizens and businesses. Thank you,
Yeah,
Mayor.
everybody involved. It was just, you know, just happened to fall in my lap. Everybody's doing good work, so thank y'all.
And while I have Mayor Tidwell and Josh on the phone, I think Robin, are you still on, Robin?
I'm here. Yep.
I think you had a question about the flags and thing. I think I was going to turn that over to city manager and the mayor on the flags that were this weekend you were asking me about.
So did anybody hear anything about that?
Yeah, we will be releasing a press release at some point today. As this isn't something that's actually on the agenda, I can't really discuss it in this meeting, but we will be releasing a press release on it this afternoon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hang on.
Probably because
okay, so I should be on here now.
Okay, somewhere along here, because I just got on.
we can hear you now, Robin.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So it just came up in a meeting that I was in on Sunday, and the question that I'd asked Eric about, and you don't have to answer it here, but apparently someone asked the people who had the flags flying there on that corner, asked them, did they have permission? They said, oh yes, the police gave us the police told us we had permission to be here. So the people this is a little group of parents of kids in the school district, and they didn't understand why the police would give permission. And I said, I'm not sure they did. Because if somebody's asking permission from the city, it's not the police that's going to give them permission, is it? Is it the police that does it?
Eric, if I can, I'll add to that one if you want me to.
Yes, sir, please.
So, and this is Josh. So it actually, for a peddler's permit, which is to temporary sales, it actually does, by the city ordinance, go through the police chief. So the chief reviews those documents per the ordinance and then issues a permit based on the requirements of that permit.
And yes, because the applicant has to submit fingerprints and background investigation. So there is police activity involved in applying for the permit. So it does go through the police department.
It just they were questioning. They didn't and they were quite a lot of people who were, and I don't really know. I was only brought up in a meeting that I was in, that they were upset with the place and the things that were there. Mostly that the Confederate flag was flying at the corner and over the American flag, and they thought that was not a good vision of Lago Vista as you turn down the road, which probably, it's not. I was surprised, actually. It was just kind of an interesting response. So I said I would ask the question. So you said you're
Yeah,
going
and the challenge with that is it goes back to, and I think the chief's given a couple of pretty good responses. It goes back to limiting people for what they can sell, and that's not a function of the city. We obviously don't.
No, of course, yeah.
And it's a challenge. The chief gave the example that even if the flags if they were selling flags that said defund the police, it would be the same. If it fits the criteria, then they're still allowed.
Right. I think the other question was it really on city I might have this wrong, but if it was on city land, then things that have to do with politics should not be on public land.
Yeah, so there's two things here. And so the differences there are that it's on a commercial lot, so the property owner allowed them the opportunity to. However, if they're restricted inside of the right of way, so it doesn't matter what they were selling, they should not place anything within the right of way of the road. So that is a restriction that could be clarified with any peddler.
I think that was part of the issue too, was it was really quite close to the corner itself. So I went up and looked at it. When I went up to see what this all was about on Sunday afternoon, I didn't see any Confederate flags. There were a lot of other, primarily Republican flags, but that's their right to sell. It's not a big deal to me. But they were awfully close to the corner as you turn that corner. But I said to my husband, come with me and let's see what you think. And we went back up there and they were gone. And they've been gone ever since. So it's all right. But there'll probably still be some questions that are coming up.
Yeah, well, we'll be releasing something this afternoon, so.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If y'all can get off the call if you would like, you can hang out if you can, want to, but definitely appreciate y'all jumping on with us at this point in time, but we're gonna go ahead and move forward if y'all want to jump off.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So we're talking about your, the memberships that are coming up. I think we have 3 members that are set to expire in January of 2021. That's Robin, Russell, and Dunn. So I think you need to have your applications in. I think City Secretary have sent some things out. I don't know if you guys were planning on re-up or, if sent your information in back to the City Secretary. Just was definitely want to put that out there and point that out if you have not done that you need to do so.
They haven't, I haven't received anything.
He said
No,
it's,
you would have to go onto the city website on the City Secretary and boards and commission applications and fill that application out and send it back in.
Okay, I had seen that you requested the secretary or something like that to send it out. So I was looking for that, but yeah, I'll go on the website.
Yeah, I think that I just gave her the name that she asked for, the names that were the people that was term was limited and coming to an end in January. And so I gave the names to her.
Okay.
So I think she sent that out to City Council as well, but you would definitely need to go ahead and fill that application and get it back into her.
Got it.
Moving on, our IEDC volunteer that was supposed to come down and help us with some economic efforts and that thing that has been, of course, of COVID, as we now know, but COVID has caused that to be pushed back. She's now looking at January 2021, depending on, again, the COVID situation, travel restrictions, and CDC guidelines and all that stuff. But just want to let you know that had been pushed back to next year, and we'll be looking at that starting in January 2021. Want to give you an update. I know we talked about a hotel that was looking in Lago, the hotel site, the potential site. It's under contract that the hotel guys, the group liked. So that site is currently under contract at this point in time on a 90-day due diligence as well. So they are now looking at a different location, has not revealed that different location at this point in time to me, but they have a couple more that myself and Josh, we went out on the tour and gave them, but the current site that they like is under a contract with a 90-day due diligence on at this point in time.
I finally figured out to turn on my camera.
Yes, it's a pleasure to see you.
And again, in the shopping center over at the Village, the Wild Navy, as you know, the boutique shop, they are now going to be leasing the next door to them. They're leasing that spot next to them. She's expanding, so we're definitely excited about her expanding. She had mentioned some men, some kids clothes. So I'm not sure what she's going to do in that expansion, but she has agreed to a lease in the space next to her, so which is great that she's growing and continue to grow her business in that area.
So I have a question about that building, just in the process of people talking about why it hadn't been occupied before. I went up there to that store. It was really nice. It was really busy, and I decided it was too busy for me, having used to going nowhere. But it was cool that they were really busy. But when we drove around the back, there was no access from the back. So if you have a fire, how do you get out of the back of that building?
Can I answer?
Somebody's. Yeah. I would encourage you, if you're not speaking, to go ahead and mute your mics because we get some background noise from somewhere. Okay. Yeah, yes, Don, go ahead.
Yeah, Robin, what normally happens in a new shopping center like that, they don't put in the rear doors until the spaces are leased.
Really?
Yeah.
That probably makes sense. So but they're on the second floor, so they have to come down anyway.
Yeah, that's a different deal. Yeah, but on the first floor, I think a lot of the criticisms that I've heard in the past about it was, well, there's not room there to unload merchandise. Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. And you may not be able to back an 18-wheeler up very, perpendicular to the building, but there's enough room. And the fact that there are no doors is just a temporary situation until they're cut.
It's a really nice facility, so it'd be really cool if it were full. Yeah. I just was curious about that because working in malls, etc., I'm used to a back door.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Yeah.
Josh and I were talking about that last Saturday. I remember back in when I was a retail manager, we had a back door, but it was so inconvenient to bring merchandise in. We brought it in the front door of the mall. So it just depends. It can be done.
I thought it was more for having another exit if there were
For
a problem.
fire egress.
Doesn't bother me if you have building things being loaded in. I mean, there are all kinds of ways that people get their merchandise in their door. It doesn't really matter, I don't think.
Gage is right. The fire marshal, I'm sure, would insist on an alternate exit.
Is that why they're on the second floor instead of the first? Is that a
No.
big expense?
No, the reason that they're on the second floor is because that was the only location in that whole mall that had been built out. So they're taking advantage of some of that. Clive Rutherford used to have his business there.
Right. Oh, that's where he used to be, in that space. Interesting. Yeah. Well, I hope there are a whole lot more. It was really nice. I'll go back when I get brave again, being in a building with 20 people at once. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to look at the initial use of that business when the building when it was designed, and it has firewall in there. So it's firewalls in protected for the particular use that it was intentionally built for back when it was built. Now, of course, if the use changes now, the fire marshal would have to go out, and if you have a different use as far as the capacity in there, they would require, fire codes and fire exits in that component. But the initial use for that building right now, the firewalls and everything are all in place for that particular structure.
well, it's nice that they're busy enough that they're going to take more space. That's cool.
That is, it is.
I might be more comfortable there if there's more space. It was crammed with people. It was very cool, though, to see that much activity. Yeah.
Good. Well, with that, that's pretty much on my business items. I do have Meredith on here. I know Meredith has some information she was pushing out. I think some trash days and things like that. Meredith, you want to touch on anything while you're on the call?
Sure. Let me get to my cheat sheet, which is our Facebook page. So this weekend, beginning Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is cleanup days. So if you need to clean out your garage, I do, closets, whatever, this is the perfect time to do so. I have the information on the Facebook page and on the website. So that's Thursday through Saturday, different times each day. But again, I'm not going to bore you with all the specifics, since you can just go right on there. Let's see what else we've got. Of course, the Lago Bucks I had sent out to everyone on the President's Council, so I know some of you would have gotten it. Robin, you all might have gotten it. The city park, if you haven't logged in your vote for naming the city park, there is a survey online that the mayor put together. Let me put the link in here where you can vote on your favorite name, and it will be announced at this next council meeting on Thursday. So trunk or treat is canceled this year. We still have those restrictions in place for how many people can get together. I've checked with the mayor about what we're going to do about the Christmas tree lighting celebration, which is always held the first Monday of December. The current governor's order is through December 15th. So that would catch us in that order of COVID restrictions. So we'll see what the mayor has to say, and we'll just let everyone know online.
Mm-hmm. Could I butt in with a couple of items too? Please remember to vote for the LVPOA candidates. That's due by October 31st. You should have received a card in the mail that has a registration number on it, which would be the registration number you use to vote online. So remember that. And if you threw away the card or can't find it, I'm sure that you can contact the POA and they'll give you the number. Also, on the trunk or treat business, I saw the other day where apparently, is it Rolling Hills is going to try to do one?
Yeah, I just heard today that there might be some churches who are doing things.
Yeah,
And the churches actually, because they're a religious organization, they don't fall under that restriction that the governor has put forward.
right.
So they're able to do it. But as a city, just as a public event, we, at this time, no.
Yeah.
Unless you're an Episcopalian, and then the bishop is more strict even than the state. What can be done? Yeah. And in this case, the bishop rules.
And remember to vote. Early voting started today, and you can do so at Rolling Hills Church.
I was there at 7:30.
Wow, impressed.
But there were people lined up at 5:30, I understand.
What?
I went by just a little bit ago, and there's still a long line, and that's thrilling to see that kind of line at early voting. That's
Yes.
never happened before.
Yeah, everybody was cheerful. It was a little bit chilly, and then it got warmer. It was kind of, I think we were in line for about an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow.
So it wasn't too bad.
So Meredith, I know it might be a little too early. I know census has ended. Did you get any updated numbers of how many Lago residents we actually finished with on the census? It's too early to get those numbers yet.
I have not received those numbers yet, but I'll check into that. Make a note of that.
Please remember city council, if you plan on the city council this Thursday, 6 o'clock. So we do have city council. It's a full agenda. So we will have city council this Thursday at 6.
Mhm.
Any other items that didn't go ahead, Don?
Yeah, I just one more thing. I know I'm a broken record, but I'm always trying to push the idea of the high-speed internet
Correct.
all around. And as you all know, in the past, when we've dealt with Spectrum, they have stated that the lowest speed that they offer out here is 200 megabits per second, which is fairly, that's fairly fast. And looking at a map that I can't guarantee that it's absolutely correct, but it looks like they have Lago Vista almost completely filled in. So that's encouraging. But I accidentally talked to a representative of their business services the other day, and I'll send everybody his name and contact information as well as a brochure. They no longer do the 400 megabits. It's now 600 megabits that you can sign up. And so that's getting better and better. And he told me that for businesses that they can hit you with a gigabit. They can hit you with fiber. So that's getting encouraging. I just would like to see us keep pushing because we want to get gigabit service all over town, because that's the way that we're going to attract those folks who have decided that they don't have to drive into the office every day, and they'd much rather live where we are and commute via the internet. And so that's something that we just need to really keep pushing on. And I think it's really worthwhile.
That's great.
Yep.
Did you get on the governor's broadband this past meeting they had last month? I actually was on another meeting.
Yeah, I was there. It was not that consequential. Their primary concern right now is with the schools and also building out high-speed internet to the places that are dark in Texas. And there still are a lot of folks who just don't have the service available. That's what they're targeting. And then you have places that have service available, but people can't afford to use it. So it's kind of a two-step thing. But it still boggles my mind what they consider to be high-speed internet. What they consider to be high-speed internet for the purpose of, fixing up the schools and everything like that is 25 megabits per second. And believe you me, that's not high speed.
Slow.
So, but anyway, I think it's 25 megabits down and like 1 megabit up or something like that. And that's not it. Paul.
Eric, just to piggyback on what Don is saying there, I think you're aware that over here on the eastern side of Lago Vista and Wood Hollow, Marshall's Harbor, we have fiber optic internet, correct?
I'm aware that, yeah.
We have fiber optic internet over here. And I've had the conversation with the lady who's the regional manager for this area and asked her, you know, where I'm at, we're fortunate in that they pulled it through from the high school over to where we are, and then it extends all the way down Lakeshore. And they basically said they're not, AT&T at least is not pushing, they're not interested in investing in any more infrastructure for fiber optic at least. So the other quandary we have is that leaves 5G. Is 5G something you want? I had a gentleman, a technician here a few months back talking about 5G, and I was having an issue with my internet, and he was resolving. And I asked him, I said, "Do you think AT&T is going to start putting up 5G towers and selling high broadband internet that way?" And he said, "No." Really? I said, "Why not?" And he said that there's too many concerns about the health risks of it. And I said, "Are you saying that a lot of the conspiracy stuff I'm reading on the internet is valid?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "You have to understand," he said, "just like all of our routers that each of us have in our homes right now, we have 2.5 megahertz, 5 gigahertz. They use the radio waves. He analogized it to like the microwave. He said, these are shooting out 5 gigahertz. So you have a real broad band going out, and it's powerful. Well, anything wide isn't going to go very far. You've got to get it narrow. Narrow means lower bandwidth, but it goes farther. Well, the high bandwidth requires a lot of power. And he said it's akin to standing next to a microwave staring at it. So this is what this guy is saying. I don't know, but it will be interesting to see if 5G is going to be the answer for our area, because it doesn't appear that Spectrum wants to pull fiber through to all the residences here in the town any more than AT&T UVerse does. But 600 gigabits, as Don pointed out, that's not bad. With my fiber optic, I get 900 megabytes upload and download speed, so it's not too far off. So that would be great, Don.
Getting a lot better, yeah, certainly is.
But the importance of that is, I'm sorry.
And it's really incomprehensible that AT&T only offers DSL out here.
Well, it's apparent maybe their market study was such that people weren't willing to pay $200 a month for fiber, and it wouldn't be a cost benefit for them. That might be their rationale. I don't know. But your point is spot on regarding the housing. 25%, it's anticipated that 25% of the jobs right now that are working remotely are going to stay working remotely. And when I say it's estimated, I'm referring to the Wall Street Journal, The Economist, Bloomberg, Statistica, that news feeds that I subscribe to and I pay for and I spend an hour reading on a daily basis. These jobs are not coming back. They're also looking for more square footage. Economic Development Group, this is y'all's wheelhouse, okay? More square footage, they want more houses, and they need the ability to work from home. They want that office in their home. They want more space. And we have to be able to have those people. When you work from home like I do, you work a lot more, actually, I think.
Yeah.
And you're not going to want to travel all the way to Cedar Park for those, what's the term? Not luxury things, but comfort items, for example. But then you get into that, and I apologize for being long-winded here, but the other consideration is the Federal Reserve has made it clear that they're going to keep interest rates low through 2023. That's because we're not expecting economic growth. We've already got the GDP is getting revised down to, I think it's 1.5% globally right now. Trade is down. The reason they're pushing so hard right now to get these $1,200 stimulus checks out is because we're seeing this happen And we're seeing, last week, we saw another 1 million jobs on the unemployment side nationwide. The jobs are not coming back yet. And this is going to take a long time. It's probably going to take a couple years. So economic development group, the jobs that we want to be bringing here, the businesses that we want to bring here, I submit to you, should be businesses that we think can be recession proof or pandemic proof, if you will. We've got instances coming up right now where they're talking about people who are getting reinfected with COVID after already having it. Infections are starting to creep back up everywhere. So whether or not, deaths and all that stuff aside, the fact of the matter is if they start coming back, regardless of your politics on the matter, Travis County is going to shut things down. And so the businesses, therefore, need to be businesses that are outside of luxury and wellness. Luxury and wellness is experiencing almost a 30% unemployment rate since the onset of the COVID-19. 30% almost. That's huge. The companies that come in here might need to be your franchises, your corporate stores, because those guys are the ones who are going to have the cash flow to sustain themselves through economic downturns and negative GDP growth. We're capitalizing on our location and our vicinity to Travis County. People are coming out here. They're getting out of the higher cost of living areas. That trend is going to continue. So anyway, I'll be quiet now, but that's just kind of my little macro word for you guys to consider and be thinking about as you guys ponder ways to bring economic development to Lago Vista. And thank you all for volunteering and doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I agree with Paul, and the point that I think we have discussed the year and a half since we've been doing this is there is one way of looking at it, that we want to bring businesses in and we try to sell them on the idea to come into Lago Vista. And of course, there are two considerations. One is the number of rooftops that we have, and the other is the income level. Now, if we go the other way around and we bring in all of these techies and so on and so forth that are white collar workers with a good income stream who can have their home office and their place to work here, we will naturally be like a magnet to attract those businesses that we're wanting to come. We'll have more rooftops, we'll have a higher income stream, and we'll be the ideal place for them to come. I think that's one way of looking at it.
I agree with you, Don. They don't want 1,200 square foot homes. They want 3,000, 4,000 square foot homes.
Yeah.
Where can we get that in Lago Vista right now?
There's quite a beautiful one next door to me, I think is 2,800. It's really spectacular.
That's great.
Let's
get more of it.
Yep.
What?
Oh, I said, that's great. Let's get more of it.
Right, right. This is kind of a secret, a lovely secret in Travis County. So if you could get people to understand that part of it and why it's such a great value.
Consider too, if they, if they're doing that and they are building the bigger homes, you're also going to see a smaller impact on our wildlife out here. Fewer trees will have to be cut down, a smaller footprint, if you will. The other benefit of that is if you do say X number of homes that are worth a whole bunch of money versus a multiplier of 10 that are, a tenth of that price, you're still getting the same tax revenue out of both, except the lower density, you're getting less of an impact on our city's infrastructure, less of an impact on fewer children going to the schools, creating a bigger burden, more bond issuances, things like that. So anyway, I didn't want to press it on
most of the lots in Lago Vista are I would say average around 1/4 of an acre. So, there's room to build a substantial house. And of course, all of Lago Vista is zoned, and the zone with the highest required living space is 1,800 feet. So, 3,000 feet would be a good bit on top of that.
But
But
yeah,
there are areas.
and there are issues with regard to the height of structures
Right.
that limits the square footage that you can put. And there are good reasons for that. You know, people built here and were trying to protect their views that they had on their homes. So, you know, in some cases, we may have to have some increased lot sizes to get the
Well,
size of homes we're looking at.
the lots are all platted out. So, I mean, you know, they could, and
Not all of them actually, Don. There's one coming up right now that I just heard at the planning and zoning meeting last week. It's a 300-acre development. They've got a PDD in for it. They're looking at 40-foot wide lots and 11 or 1,200 square foot homes to start with in phase one, but later in their later phases, I understand that they're going to have 1 and 2 acre lots. So that's for, you know, it'll get its due scrutiny from the city as is appropriate and as is the case for every developer. But my only point in bringing that up is that not everything is platted out in the city yet. So the way to control that, I think, is through zoning. So if you want bigger lots, bigger lot sizes, then you give them zoning for R1A, for example, instead of this R1T or R1G, which allows for smaller setbacks. With the R1A, you have larger setbacks, which requires a larger lot.
R1A is a 1,200 minimum square foot and 15 foot high roof. That's R1A.
But the setbacks are different for it.
Yeah, the setbacks are.
I mean,
I'd be glad to send you the information sheet, but the setbacks are basically the same for almost all of the R-rated zonings. But yeah, you know, Tessera has 40-foot lots, and that's
right.
They're really close together. It would be great to have new folks enter our city and have bigger lots. The problem lies there with they wouldn't be a part of the POA and stuff like that. So
this house
that's
next
always
door to us is 2-story, but it's not as high as us and as tall as our house, which is just a single. But they dug deep down, so the walls around it are quite large. It's very interesting. If you want to see a really interesting piece of architecture.
Yeah, the way it works is that, and the highest for a regular house in the Lago Vista area, the highest roof line is 18 feet.
Right.
But that 18 feet is from the highest point
right
on your lot. So, you know, the topography out here, you know, there are a lot of places where if you go 18 feet from the highest point on the lot, you're going to have a 3-story.
That's right. Exactly. It's just been interesting to watch because it's very different. Yeah.
Right.
But thank you for those comments. Discussion might be something where we need to, you know, put an initiative to and kind of look at and discuss and get us a game plan for that going forward, you know, in 2021, 2022, and put that.
How would you define that future agenda item?
Yeah.
How would you define it? I mean, what would you write on the agenda for that discussion?
For our meeting?
Well, for what you just acknowledged we should talk about in the future, how would you define that on the agenda? What would the agenda item read? And is it appropriate for this committee? It seems maybe more appropriate. I mean, who's got the purview on that?
Yeah, we could get development, so we could get Roy in development service, but you know, the ultimate goes to city council. We're going to vote on those initiatives as far as lot sizes and all that. So we could put an initiative and get them some reports that what we find from this committee and present to them, as well as P&Z, planning and zoning. And, you know, they can definitely look at our work and maybe take that in consideration when it comes to that. So that define it. I mean, I can define it any way you would like for me to define it on the agenda item, but we need to get some concrete points and some concrete information in front of city council when you're making them, you know, giving that to city council.
Eric, would it be worth creating some kind of liaison between ourselves and P&Z only to talk about how planning and zoning impacts economic development? Just so we could find some common grounds between the two groups?
Yeah, I mean, we could probably, I would speak with Josh about, having a, I don't know about us being a liaison kind of, but we could have a joint meeting with them one time. I mean, depending on their time, I mean, I have time, definitely I can do it. If they can do it, I don't know if each P&Z member would be able to meet with us, but if they would like to, we can, that's not a problem. If they would like to do it, I'm all for it.
There's
Kind of go
one,
back to the conversation that we had for a while about having some places where there are offices that can be, where you can have meetings, et cetera. If we're going to talk about the possibility that there will be more economic development at people's houses than there is going to be in places of business. So this thing that we talked about before, where there's a place where you can have a meeting, or you can do some kinds of not rent the space for office space, but for things where you want to get together, you don't want to do it at home. It seems to me that also or more.
Audrey Anderson on Roy Bryant.
like WeWork.
Yes, that's right, like WeWork. But WeWork didn't work. I think they were actually trying to create offices, and I'm not talking about that. More the idea we had there would be a facility where if you wanted to have a day's time where you pull people together, there'd be a place to do that would be within Lago.
What's the name of that company? It's the virtual office space company. I'm drawing a blank.
Well, the ones you're talking about
WeWorks is one of them.
Right, but what WeWork was doing, you all had a different idea from what WeWork did, I think, where it was a facility where people could go when they had something that they couldn't do at their house, but they could do it, have a place in town where they could go easily, and they'd pay for that facility.
Yeah, it got to be the same WeWorks concept. So, I mean, it might be.
It's a concept, but
And they're
there are
struggling.
people who are actually trying to rent office space, and we're talking about people having their office space at home. So,
So Robin, that's actually the business that I'm in. It's called co-working spaces. And so there's virtual offices that you're talking about. So the company I work for is called IWG. It trades as Regus is the buildings that you would see. But so there's all different types of facilities like that. So we've talked about doing something like that here in Lago Vista, but the demographics just don't support it yet. So
it seems like maybe that really is, maybe there's time for a future more possible than we think, I guess. Because that's something, I know, Julie, some of the things that you were doing for before COVID. So now COVID has changed quite a few things. So
yeah,
it's just the possibility.
And just to your point, I know you're not talking specifically about like the WeWork model, but that's the only kind of model that would work. But I will tell you, just as I don't remember the gentleman's name that I haven't met before that was talking so eloquently about GDP and watching the market, but how companies are working is going to change. And we are seeing that probably 25 to 40% of the workforce will need flexible workspace options. And so for communities like ours, I think what the answer was no so far. We're going to see a huge change in 2021. So
sure, that's all I'm saying is we were just kind of thinking about that. We should keep it open as something we're thinking about.
Well, I'm in charge of the US, so I'm your gal. Let's talk.
Excellent. Yep.
Even though they said no, Julie, it might be good. Can we get you and your IWG to give us a presentation and kind of give them some information from us, from Lago, even though I know you said it was a no at this point in time, but.
Yeah, and that's kind of what, back to all of the work that I wanted to do with business owners is really being able to say, gosh, what did you think you were going to be able to do here in tiny little Lago Vista with your Domino's franchise, and how has it just absolutely exceeded your expectations? I think that kind of data to companies like IWG or Dairy Queen or whomever is the critical piece that we're missing in the dialogue that we share. So
right, exactly, that's right.
And I agree, Julie, and that's something that this committee could do and we should focus on. I know we have a lot of, myself, I have a lot of bright ideas, but I mean, doesn't mean that I can be effective with it. But this committee can make that happen, because some of the other things we're talking about are ordinances and voting rights of the city council that we have no effect on. But that's something, information gathering that we can give to other companies or even the IWG to come to our community. We have backed up data to support this, and it might kind of sway their decision a little differently if they see the data in front of them. So I agree with you, Julie. We can, I'd like to definitely, initiate that in this committee and kind of get your lead on that. And we
Sure.
kind of, I know you kind of do it before COVID unfortunately came in, but we might be something we can pick up again in 2021.
It kind of depleted everything for sure. So maybe we need to regroup and, one of the critical pieces that I'm missing to feel like I can be effective in this is understanding who are the main developers here, what property, commercial property is zoned that might be available, for purchase or for lease, and really understanding that side of the resources so that we could try to marry it with these potential businesses we're trying to court.
Okay, I agree. We need that. Yeah, we need to definitely get that out more. I'll probably set a meeting. Do you know Roy, right?
No.
Okay, I need to introduce you to Roy, our Development Service Director. He can probably help you on that component. Yeah, remind me, I'll introduce you to Roy.
Okay, that's awesome. Great.
So moving on, I will say we did touch on the Wayfinder signs in our last meeting. Speaking of Roy, me and Roy did have a Zoom meeting with a company that did Wayfinder signs, had 2 meetings with them. They were going to be on this meeting, but unfortunately they had another obligation. They might be on our next meeting in November, which I think is scheduled for around the 10th of November. But I did follow up with that on the Wayfinder signs. They actually have more direction. Roy kind of gave them our signage ordinance and direction, and so they're looking at that. And so it probably will be on November 10th meeting. They might be able to get on with us and give us some their recommendations on the signs that we were talking about in the previous meeting in September. With that, I don't have anything. Anybody else have anything?
I've just got one housekeeping question. For the sake of the minutes, I apologize for missing it. Who's attending under the MC label?
So the MC, Miss C, that is my home boss. So she's just making sure I'm in line. So she's going to critique me after the meeting. That's my home boss.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anyone.
I'll send you her name. That's Trisha. I'll send you her name, Don. Yes, that's my person going to critique me later. So that's what.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, I'm sorry to have been
You
off.
should have told us ahead of time. We'd have made you look even better.
We definitely appreciate Paul. I think I saw him pick up a phone call. We appreciate Paul being on the call as well. So
right.
With that, we have a tentative meeting for November 10th. And with that, Julie, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Y'all
Thank you.
Take
Thanks,
care.
everyone.
Bye-bye.